Did you know that 70% of people take things personally? Yeah, that's a lot of people. That's 7 out of 10 people. So you can be in a group of 10 people and you know 7 of those people are going to get all offended or something when something happens. They're going to take it personally. It's actually called hypersensitivity. And today I'm going to tell you 3 things that causes it, and I'm going to give you a couple of solutions on how you can overcome it. If you're new here, I want to thank you for joining and hit that subscribe button and let you know I'm Coach Stacy Lynn. I've been around for a while. I have been a therapist in the past, and now I am a certified master Christian life coach. And my goal here on this channel is to help you have a better day, people. So today, let's talk about taking things personally. Did you know that 70% of people take things personally? Why? There's 3 reasons. It's because they interpret tone of voice, silence, or how a person looks wrong. So, and I can tell you, having done a lot of counseling with couples, oh my gosh, he would say, "Oh, it's her tone of voice. She meant blah, blah, blah." And he would go, "Yeah, it was. The way he looked at me." And then they give each other the silent treatment, right? So you have issues there. But the reality is that most people who are hypersensitive and take things personally, that's the problem. They interpret somebody's tone of voice, they interpret how they look or the look that they perceive, or they interpret silence because somebody doesn't say anything. And just in full transparency, the silence one is the one that really got me until I was able to get a hold on this many years ago. I am a feedback person, people. That's why I love your comments. If you give me your comments, then it helps me to know how I can help you better. But just as an example, today my neck is killing me. I have a little bit of a migraine. And so I know that if I'm talking to somebody and they say something wrong today, if I don't let them know physically I'm in pain, I might take it wrong and I might take it personally. Here's what I've learned to do, though. I wrote this here. First of all, 95% of people, when they say something, they are being completely neutral about it. So they're not out to get you. In other words, there might be that little 5% of people who are, but for the most part, 95% of the time when people say something, it's neutral. So you got to keep that in mind, and that's something you might want to write that down. Also, here is a way to look at these issues. All right, I wrote notes. Yeah, I did. Because you know why? I need structure, people. Just being honest. All right. So here's the thing. Part of the reason why sometimes people take things personally is because when they offer help and it's not received the way that they want, they take that personally. Well, how come you didn't? And, so here's the thing. And believe me, the older you get, and most of you are older than me that watch this, I am talking to the old generation, people. In the olden days, people our age and older, they had dentures. And so everybody would be walking around chomping their dentures and stuff. But yes, we have digressed. Okay, anyway, let me get back to my point. Okay, so choose not to buy into other people's problems. Do you buy into people's problems? This is part of the reason I did that video on compassion fatigue, because I was trying to warn you. And what was interesting about that video is that a lot of you who commented, and I'm grateful, I'm so glad that you did, because it totally helps me to help you. Part of the reason why you have compassion fatigue is because you care, right? And often, there was one comment on there from Denise, and I want to read it here. Denise said, "We are too busy doing people pleasing, which is very exhausting. It's also a real killing me softly instead of doing as unto God. Jesus is the way." Yeah, so part of that people pleasing comes with compassion fatigue, because you don't want to let those people down. But in the process, you're letting yourself down. So part of overcoming that is by not buying into other people's problems. So I know that that's hard. And believe me, I know it's hard, but you have to become neutral. And so here's a sentence. I want you to write this down. When in doubt, check it out. I know, right? That sounds so like, what? What do you mean by that? So here's what I mean. When in doubt, first of all, if you're taking something personally, when in doubt, check it out. Ask a question. A lot of people don't like to ask questions. Okay, you're not like what did you mean by that? When you said blah 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 blah, what I heard you say is, or, and a lot of people don't say that. What I heard you saying is fill in the blank. Is that correct? Ask a question. That's a great script. If you've never used it before, I highly recommend it. But the people pleasing thing also. It's difficult, and I'll give you an example. This is a literal example from something in my community going on right now. Right now, one of my friends is having a health crisis, and they're a popular business owner. Okay, everybody in the city knows what's going on with this family, and at some point, you have to step back and go, you know what? That's their problem. You know, we can help. We can pray. We can give a little bit of money as long as we're not, doing it to our detriment to help them. But they could have been a little bit more responsible. They could have gotten more medical insurance. They could have got Aflac It Pays. There's lots of different things people do, and all of that. And at some point, you have to step back and go, you know what? This is not my responsibility. I'm going to remain neutral. I cannot go in and rescue somebody who is a perpetual victim. And there are people out there who they are. I know. I have worked with them and I have seen them change. Right? You have to have, if you don't want your life to be miserable and run by other people, part of overcoming that people pleasing and being hypersensitive is learning to say no and set boundaries. And it's also learning to say, you know what, I'm okay with not being able to fix this. I remember years ago, I was in my own therapy. This was a long time ago. And I will give the shirt off my back to people. And I remember talking to my therapist and telling her, so-and-so has this need at church. And, me and my husband, we can afford to pay that, And I found that I went in there and I tried to rescue. And then I was dissatisfied because I wasn't thanked, right? And a lot of people they just take and they don't thank. And my therapist taught me, and I had to be in my 20s at that point, but she taught me, she said, you know what? You don't have to give that much. You can give a little bit. And, I run a nonprofit, just as an example. Heart Tug International is my nonprofit. And I know if I had 1,000 people give me $20 a month, then I could get more done than having 10 people give me $5 a month, or 10 people giving me, $1,000 a month. That would be nice, actually. But my point is more people giving little amounts, you can get a lot done with a lot of people giving something small as opposed to relying on a few people to give big. Those things are hard to come by. So we take things personally because we hear things wrong, tone of voice, silence, or looks. And then we get overwhelmed with compassion fatigue because we take people's problems on ourselves, and we don't have to. We can learn to stay neutral. And believe it or not, that's a skill. It's a skill to learn to be neutral. And it's not that you don't care. It's just that, look, everybody has problems. Nobody is immune from a problem. So, if you can stay neutral from somebody's problem, then you can actually help more people. I've had to learn that. I have people in my life that I help, that I coach, and then I have people who I should be coaching. They're not going to pay me anything, which is why I'm not coaching them. But those people, they'll talk to me about their problem, and I'm neutral. I will not step in and go, okay. Because I figure if you really want a solution to your problem and you really want to work on it, part of what you're going to do is you're going to put some money and skin into the game to do that. And then you'll change. At least most people will. You can get a free product all day long and not do anything with it. But if you have to pay for it, you're going to value it a little bit more. And I love that, because if you apply the things that I'm teaching you here, even on these free YouTube videos, you will change and you won't be as overwhelmed. You won't take things as personal, and you won't be as hypersensitive, and people pleasing. Because here's the thing, it's a never ending battle if you're a people pleaser. And it's also a never ending battle if you take things personally. They actually go hand in hand in a lot of ways. So if you're that person, I want to tell you, right now I have a profile. It's called the Equipping Profile. I give it to people, and one of the things that measures on there is hypersensitivity. And if you're high on hypersensitivity, one of the things that we can do is help you lower that. And part of the way we help you lower it is by teaching you some of the things I just taught you. So consider reaching out to me if you'd like to take it. You can take it for free, and I'll meet with you and go over your results. So, how do you have a better day today? If you are full of compassion fatigue, how about you take some time to be compassionate towards yourself, people? It's okay. It's okay. It is okay to take time for yourself. Right now I have a migraine, and I'm taking time for myself because I'm finally getting my hair cut, people. See this? This is like months and months of overgrowth, like a lot of overgrowth. So next video you'll see me, and hopefully I will have a fresh haircut. It will be a lot shorter, trimmed out. It'll look nicer. But I'm going to take time for myself today because I have a headache and it's killing me. And I have to, because if I don't, then I will want to bite your head off, right? So, and if you're in a situation where you're working and you can't take that time off, well, let me just encourage you to take 10 minutes, right? Just take a deep breath for 10 minutes. Go for a little walk, clear your head. At night, heat up something warm, put it on your eyes. Just do something nurturing. One of the things I like to do is use essential oil, and it smells good. It helps take me out of the other place and gives me a different sense to focus on. Okay? So let me know. What do you struggle with the most? Looks, silence, or tone of voice? If you've watched this far, leave me some feedback so I can help you out more. All right? And everybody, I hope you have a better day. Until next video.